Good morning. I'd like to call the Committee of Adjustment meeting for September the 8th to order. And before we start, I believe Mr. Sharp would like to make an introduction.
Good morning, Chair Edwards and members of committee. I just wanted to welcome our new Artesia, our new planner, who will be joining us today. This is his first Committee of Adjustment hearing, so we're excited to have him. He's excited to present a couple of applications to you today. Thank you.
Welcome. And on the same note, I'd like to give our best wishes to Bryce Sharp. This is his last meeting for the Committee of Adjustment. And we wish you all the best, Bryce. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Well, thank you very much, Chair Edwards. We've certainly spent a lot of time around this table together, almost 10 years. So I just wanted to thank you and all the members of Committee of Adjustment, present and past, for all of your hard work and contributions to the township and for being such a great support to me over the years. So thank you.
Welcome. Okay. And note by Member Stokes, second by Member Grogan Green, be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment agenda dated September 8th, 2025 be adopted. All those in favor? That's carried. And just before we go on, I have to make this statement. Today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded on the Township of Muskoka Lakes website and YouTube channel. By participating in the open public meeting today, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and posted online. Thank you. And are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, we'll have the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Member Stokes, second by Member Grogan Green. Be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment minutes dated August 11th, 2025 be adopted and approved as circulated. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Yeah, go ahead. Right.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is required that I make a few statements, then I will explain the hearing procedures. This electronic hearing is being held in accordance with Section 238 of the Municipal Act. The members of the Committee of Adjustment present are Alan Edwards, Barb Bridgman, Lisa Grogan Green, and Sean Stokes. I can confirm we have quorum and that senior staff and planning staff are present. Public input on this September 8th agenda was invited at the following email address, planning@muskokalakes.ca. Now I will explain the hearing process. The planner will provide an explanation and purpose of the application, the date the notice was circulated, and planning staff's comments. All internal and external submissions received by 8:15 a.m. today have been made available to committee members and the public. These submissions can be viewed under Section 10 of the agenda. When able, planning staff will do their best to circulate submissions that were received after 8:15 a.m. today. These submissions will also form part of the public record and will be available for the public on the township's government portal. The planner will identify the source of each submission and whether it is in support or opposition to the application. Should committee members wish to view any submissions during the meeting, they may request that it be projected onto the council chamber screen to view. The committee will hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent if they wish to add any information or to substantiate their proposal. Please provide your name, mailing address, and postal code for our records. The committee will hear from those in support of the application and those in opposition to the application. Again, please provide your name, mailing address, and postal code for our records. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes unless otherwise permitted by the committee. If you are here to speak on an application electronically, please wait until after the planner presents the relevant application to raise your hand in Zoom. If you are here to speak on an application in person, when asked, please raise your hand, and when you are recognized by the chair, please approach the podium, turn on the microphone, and remain at the podium while you state your comments for recording purposes. The committee will hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent to respond to any questions or concerns raised. The committee will then have the opportunity to ask questions, have a debate on the application, and make a decision based on the information presented at the hearing. Please note that the effect of written and oral submissions on decisions for consent and minor variances, along with the reasons for minor variance decisions, are both required under the Planning Act, and motions are pre-populated with standard wording. However, the committee may decide to add reasons and/or effects to the standard wording after voting on a decision. Motions have been pre-populated with random movers and seconders to expedite the meeting. When it is time to vote, members shall physically raise their hand until the chair has confirmed the vote. If the vote is unclear, a verbal vote shall be recorded. This is not considered a recorded vote. It must be noted the chair has a vote on each application and can participate in the discussion. There is a 20-day appeal period from the date of the decision. Building permits are not available until after the appeal period and if no appeals are received. Lastly, please take down the pink notice signs that were posted on your property to advertise today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moore. The first application is B 2025 ML EARL, and that's Ms. Crowder.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. Good morning, committee members. The first application to be heard this morning is consent application B 2025 in the name of EARL. The subject lands are known municipally as 4234 Aspdin Road. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted consent sketch on page 28 of the agenda package. The purpose of this application is to obtain a validation certificate. According to the applicant's solicitor, when the lands were purchased by the previous owners in 1992, they received title to only Part 1 of Plan 35R 14825, instead of title to both Parts 1 and 2, which should have been the case. When the applicant purchased the property, they also only received Part 1 from the previous owners. Obtaining a validation certificate will provide clear title to the subject lands. Originally, as noted in the staff report, staff recommended that the application be adjourned until such time as district comments were received. District comments were received Friday night, stating that district staff would not be opposed to the application, provided that Part 2 on Reference Plan 35R-14825 be transferred to the District Municipality of Muskoka, as the lands contain a portion of Muskoka Road 3, Aspdin Road. Staff recommend that the resolution be revised to approve the application, subject to a condition wherein a legal undertaking be completed to the satisfaction of the township to convey Part 2 of the reference plan to the district, and that standard conditions of consent be imposed. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Crowder. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this? Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in opposition to this application? Questions from the members? Okay, so moved by member Bridgman, second by member Stokes. Be it resolved that the resolution be replaced with the following. Be it resolved that consent be granted for application B 2025 ML EARL, providing the following conditions are fulfilled. 1, that a certificate of consent under section 5342 of the Planning Act, along with transfer in preparation, be prepared by a solicitor and shall be given to the Secretary Treasurer within 2 years from the date of notice of decision was given. 2, that a hard copy and digital copy of the registered reference plan of the lands prepared by the Ontario Land Surveyor be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer, which corresponds with the application as submitted. And 3, that a satisfactory legal undertaking be completed where Part 2, Plan 35-14825 will be conveyed to the District of Muskoka. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? So all those in favor of the main motion as amended, that is, okay, that's good, thank you. And this second application is a 3925 METEOR Mortgage Corporation, and that is Ms. DeMello.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A-3925 in the name of METEOR Mortgage Corporation. The subject lands are known municipally as 1422 Barlochan Road. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 52 of the agenda package. The applicants propose to recognize an as-built westerly dock and an as-built barbecue shelter. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 17 days in advance of this meeting, and 4 comments from internal departments have been received to date, indicating no objection to the application. Comments have been circulated to committee members prior to the meeting. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that that variance B be approved, subject to the following conditions: that the as-built westerly dock, including the portion extending beyond 10 feet into the front yard, be removed, that the floor area of the existing pump house be confirmed to the satisfaction of the township, and if deemed non-compliant with zoning, that the pump house be removed to the satisfaction of the township or brought into zoning compliance. That the as-built in-ground hot tub not shown on the submitted site plan be removed to the satisfaction of the township or brought into zoning compliance as necessary. And that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title with the township, along with securities for the retention of existing vegetation and plantings to retain and revegetate the shoreline buffer. And further, that variance A to permit an as-built westerly dock resulting in a maximum cumulative dock width of 105 feet be denied. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you, Ms. DeMello. Is the applicant or agent here wish to speak on this?
They're on Zoom.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good
Go
morning.
ahead, sir.
Good morning, members of council, committee and township staff. My name is Adewale Ajayi. Just call me Wally. And I'm here today to represent the owners mortgage.
Can we have your mailing address, please, and postal
Yes.
code?
It's 291 King Street, Suite 400, London, Ontario. And my postal code is N6B1R8.
Thank you.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I would just like to make a couple of comments regarding the variance request for the dock, and also for the gazebo, the barbecue shelter, as referred. The current owners purchased this property in 2022. Soon after, they discovered that several of the structures, including the dock, did not conform to current zoning provisions. And in assistance with the planning team, we applied for this variance. Concerning the dock, one of the reasons why we applied for that, as opposed to removing it, was to ensure that we did not affect the lake bed, also so that there were no safety hazards. And we understand township's concern as in relation to the structure's footprint, and we hope to work with township to ensure that, if possible, reduce it as opposed to removing it completely. But we're open to ensuring that we abide by what the committee states. So I just want to state that this particular structure has been there for 13 years prior to the current owners, and it's not a willful non-compliance, but more of their attempt to actually comply with current zoning bylaws. And in relation to the barbecue shelter, we thank planning staff for recommending approval. We just have a couple of opinions in relation to the conditions, particularly condition 3, which relates to the removal of the in-ground hot tub. We believe that the current zoning bylaw and the amendment in 2019 that sees the hot tub as a structure, and therefore recommendations for it to be removed, does not apply to this case, because the hot tub was installed in 2012 by several previous owners, and had been there for quite some time. And we rather see that this particular structure be seen as legal non-compliant or grandfathered. In addition, we would raise discussions in relation to how it's being described. We see it more as a gazebo. So our goal is to ensure that we comply as much as possible. We want to ensure that this particular property aligns with zoning bylaws. And we hope to work with the committee and the planning team to ensure that it's done that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in support of this application? Anyone in opposition to this application? No? Questions from the members? Okay, you've got two there.
If committee wishes to amend it based on.
Okay, well, we'll read it and then we'll go from there. Moved by member Bridgman, second by member Grogan Green, be it resolved that minor variance application A 3925 METEOR Mortgage Corp. to recognize an as-built westerly dock and an as-built barbecue shelter is hereby approved in part with the following variance being granted. 1, to permit a front yard setback of 51.5 feet for an as-built barbecue shelter. This variance is granted as shown on the plan attached to the notice of decision and is subject to the following condition. 1, that the as-built westerly dock, including a portion extended beyond 10 feet into the front yard, be removed. 2, that the floor area of the existing pump house be confirmed to the satisfaction of the township, and if deemed non-compliant with zoning, that the pump house be removed to the satisfaction of the township or brought into zoning compliance. And 3, that the as-built in-ground hot tub not shown on the submitted site plan be removed to the satisfaction of the township or brought into compliance as necessary. And 4, that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title with the township, along with securities for the retention of existing vegetation and plantings to retain and revegetate the shoreline buffer, and further that the following variance be denied: to permit an as-built westerly dock resulting in a maximum cumulative dock width of 105 feet. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions? Yes.
I just want to be completely clear on this. This is removing the dock, but leaving the barbecue
Yeah. Yeah,
gazebo.
the barbecue will be left at 51.5 feet. And the hot tub has to be removed as well.
Or brought into compliance.
Or brought in,
And it's
that
been-
is the pump house.
Well, the pump house, yes, which is the nicest pump house I've ever seen, actually.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
clear now. Thank
But
you.
it does say that, it does say that the hot tub needs to be removed or brought into compliance. Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay. All those in favor? That is carried. And the next application is A 4125 Mole, and that is Mrs. DeMello.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A-4125 in the name of Mole. The subject lands are known municipally as 1033 Rossclair Road, Unit 12. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 69 of the agenda package. The applicants propose to remove an existing dock and two-story boathouse and construct a new dock and one-story boathouse. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 19 days in advance of this meeting, and 4 comments have been received to date from internal departments who've all stated no objection to the application. Comments received for this application were circulated to committee members prior to the meeting. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much. And the applicant's agent here. I believe we have Mr. Allen.
Good morning, Chair Edwards. My name is Ryan Allen, 16 McNabb Street, Bracebridge, Ontario, P1L 1R4. Thanks, Ms. DeMello, for the summary and the positive recommendation. I do have one slide that I would like to share, if that could be queued up. Maybe. Do we have it? Oh, perfect. I'm assisting the Mole family with the redevelopment of their boathouse and dock. There's a new dock that is under construction. That dock is compliant. The width of the dock previously was over 75 feet wide and has been reduced to 65 feet. There's also 2 boat lifts that were located on the side of the existing dock that have also been removed to become compliant. The 2-story boathouse on less than 300 feet of frontage is being removed, which will become compliant. The oversized boathouse that was above the oversized sleeping cabin, that was above the boathouse is also to be removed, which will become compliant. The side yard setback of the boathouse will be increased to over 36 feet, which will be compliant. The proposed variances in front of you today, which were explained, is some increased 1-story boathouse width, less than 2 feet, a 1% increase in lot coverage, and the existing boathouse is 25 feet in height and will be reduced to 23.2 feet of height. Be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in support of this application? Anyone in opposition to this application? Any questions from the members? Yes, Member Stokes.
Through you, Chair, I just want to understand, I apologize for any confusion I might have in advance, how we got to this point with respect to building permits. As I understand it, there was a building permit issued some time ago for the demolition of the pre-existing two-story boathouse. And then there's been another building permit issued. Let me just see, sorry. So building permit BP 2025-0292 has been issued for the construction of the steel dock. And that steel dock is currently being issued as is, or is currently being constructed as is the steel frame of the single-story boathouse that was not permitted. Am I correct or am I wrong?
I'll let staff answer that, yes.
Through your Chair Edwards, yes, they have received a building permit for the construction of the dock. And they've constructed some of the steel framing for the boathouse at the same time. I've notified the building department of this and they've indicated to me that this is common practice. Should the minor variance for the boathouse not be approved, then they would be required to remove the steel framing that's been included with the construction of the dock.
Okay, so that's very helpful. Thanks. Just so I understand, it's common practice to start building steel framing for a boathouse prior to getting approval for that boathouse. Is that correct?
Through Chair Edwards, yes, the building department has indicated to me that it's common practice for them to start constructing the steel framing with the dock. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you.
Yes, Member Boucher.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. To follow up on that, then I think I read somewhere, and I might be wrong, that they're going to have to change the dock if this isn't approved, or was it just the boathouse framing? There isn't any question on the width of the boathouse, though, right? I have to go back. Sorry, Mr. Mello.
If you look right there, that captured it.
Yeah, the one-story boathouse. So the steel frame will be required to remove. So that's just for the boat. That's just for the boathouse part. Sorry, that's just for the boathouse part.
Through your Chair Edwards, the steel framing that's been constructed over top of the dock is for the proposed one-story boathouse.
Thank you. Could I do a follow-up here? I'm curious as to why we need 23 feet in this one-story boathouse with all the dormers, because it looks to me like it could easily be transferred back into a sleeping cabin. Is there a sleeping cabin on this property somewhere else, Mr. Allen?
There is not a sleeping cabin elsewhere on this property. There's a two-story garage that was approved as part of a rezoning application to change some of the open space zone that was at the back of the property that's more than 200 feet back from the shoreline. As I understand it, the moles have no desire for a sleeping cabin on the property, which is why they're removing the existing sleeping cabin.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow up, you say it's common practice to when you're building a dock, steel dock, to put the steel in, but would it not have to comply? In other words, I put it in, it's larger, oops, would be my question.
And Chair Edwards, perhaps I could interrupt and try to answer that question. The moles have taken a slight risk with proceeding with installing the steel. It is 1.7 feet over width. So adjustments would need to be made if the committee does not approve the application today to that structure. If they had built 1.7 feet narrower, as Mr. Mello has mentioned, that is the typical practice that the building department sees when constructing a new steel dock. All of the steel is erected at the same time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Moved by Member Grogan Green, second by Member Stokes. Be it resolved that minor variance application A 4125 mole to remove an existing dock, a two-story boathouse, and construct a new dock and a one-story boathouse is hereby approved, with the following variance being granted. to permit a lot coverage of 6,859 square feet, or 11%, within 200 feet of the high water mark, to permit a one-story boathouse to be 23.3 feet in height, and to permit a boathouse to be 47.1 feet of cumulative width. These variances are granted as shown on the plan attached to the notice of decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Just a clarification, if I could, Chair Edwards. This was a two-story boathouse, so by right, could they not still build to that same height? Like, why do we need the variance on it? Because it's being called a one-story boathouse? If you could just clarify that for me.
Through you, Chair Edwards, yes, they require the variance. Because they have less than 300 feet of frontage, they're not permitted a two-story boathouse. So the maximum height of a one-story boathouse is 16 feet.
So forgive me, but is there not a grandfathering part in effect for that old two-story boathouse?
Through you, Chair Edwards, I may defer to my manager to.
I'm having some trouble understanding that.
Chair Edwards, I would be happy to respond as well.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Sharp.
Through you, Chair Edwards. So basically, in this case, what it ultimately comes down to is the boathouse is being reconfigured in a slightly different location than the previous boathouse, which triggers the requirement for relief. The general provisions in the zoning bylaw speak to the replacement of legal non-complying buildings and structures in the same location with equivalent to reduced dimensions, same size. So in this case, because of the shift, that triggers the relief from the zoning bylaw requirements. And albeit the proposed boathouse is of a lesser height, which we see as an improvement, it does trigger the requirement for a variance. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll ask Mr. Ryan, is it from the floor to the roof is open?
Yes, it is. And if the committee has any concerns with that, please include a condition part of the approval to require no floor. The bylaw wouldn't allow it because this is only a one-story boathouse. But if there are concerns about a future sleeping cabin, you can include it as a condition that no floor be permitted.
Okay. Are you fine with that?
I'd be good with that, yes.
Thank you. Moved by Member Grogan Green, second by Member Stoke, be it resolved that minor variance application A 4125 Mole to remove an existing dock and two-story boathouse and construct a new dock and a one-story boathouse is hereby approved with the following variances being granted. 1, to permit a lot coverage of 6,859 square feet or 11% within 200 feet of the high water mark. 2, permit a one-story boathouse to be 23.3 feet in height and to permit a 47.1 foot cumulative width. This variance shall be granted and as shown on a plan attached to the notice of decision, this approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Now, we also have it, and we'll have to get it moved by and second it, to be resolved that the resolution be amended to add the following condition to prohibit as installation of a second story in the boathouse. Okay, we'll get somebody to move that and somebody to second it. Okay. Member Bridgman and Member Stokes seconded it. So I believe we vote on this one first.
Yeah.
So all those in favor of the amendment? That is carried. And all those in favor of the first resolution as amended? That's carried.
Thank you very much, committee. Mr. Sharp, good luck on your next adventure. They will be happy to have you.
You don't have to sign this week.
Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Very good. And the next application is A 4425. That's 2822172 Ontario Inc. And that is Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A 4425 in the name of 2822172 Ontario Inc. The subject lands are known municipally as 1058 Whitings Road. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 100 of the agenda package. The applicants are proposing to recognize an as-built covered entry/porch area. The covered entry porch requires relief from the required coverage and the side yard setback provisions. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen in front of you, and this table was also included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 21 days in advance of this meeting, and 4 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Matt Beach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Ryan Morrell, the Township's Fire Chief, and Chriselle Story, the Township's Land and Agreements Coordinator. All of these stated no objection to the application. All the comments were circulated to committee prior to today's meeting, and those received after circulation to committee are available on the government portal. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended the application be approved. I have no other comments, but I'm happy to assist with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. And is the applicant or applicant's agent here? Yes. Would you like to say anything? Come up to the mic.
Don't need to. I mean, it sounds like it's been approved. Or recommended to be approved.
Okay, nobody wants to speak. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in support of this application? Yes. Need your name, address, and postal code, and would you put the mic on, please?
Thank you. My name is
Just 1 second.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Douglas Smith, co-owner of the property immediately south, 1058 Whitings Road, number 15. Thank you for staff's time and the committee's time to address this matter. We are in support of the applicant's granting of this variance to recognize the as-built condition. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in support? Is there anyone in opposition? Questions from the members? Yes.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. Just another curiosity question. Did this come through bylaw? Like, it's such a small amount that I sort of looked at it and said, how did it reach planning?
Through you, and that's a great question. My understanding is it got flagged during a pre-consultation meeting and the applicants made the decision to bring the application forward to make sure that they complied with the zoning bylaw.
That's a lovely story. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Mhm. We don't normally get that. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Just one question for staff. With respect to photo A2, which is on page 98, pardon me. I just want to understand, so the entranceway with the roof is covered or surrounded by the yellow hash mark, and that's what's up here today. What about that addition or piece of the property that's behind that? Is that, which looks like it's closer to the lot line?
Through you, what page of the agenda package are you looking at?
That one picture. Pardon me, it has the yellow hash around the entranceway.
Bear with me for a moment. Okay, so a portion of the dwelling existed and there was an addition further to that, and the addition to the dwelling when it was constructed is set back 15 feet from the side lot line. So just specifically that portion of the covered entry wasn't included on the building permit at that time. And just that covered entry with its supporting post is within the 15-foot setback to the side lot line. So the portion of the dwelling that does extend closer is grandfathered in. It has existed for quite some time. There was an addition in compliance with the side lot line, and this little portion just never got included in that. I hope that clarifies.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments? Excuse me. Moved by member Grogan Green, second by member Bridgman. Be it resolved that minor variance application A 4425 2822172 Ontario Inc. to recognize an as-built covered entrance porch is hereby approved with the following variance being granted. 1, to permit an interior side yard setback of 11 feet from the northerly side lot line for an as-built covered entry / porch. 2, to permit a total lot coverage of 10.1% or 1,115 square feet. And 3, to permit a lot coverage within 200 feet of the high water mark to be 10.6. That's 1,115 square feet. These variances are granted as shown on the plan attached to the decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. I have your variance. Next application is A 4825 Goodman. And that is Mr. Teacher.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A4825 in the name of GOODMAN. The subject lands are known municipally as 1059 Big Joe Road, Unit 12. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 115 of the agenda package. The applicant proposes to construct a two-story garage with a sleeping cabin in the upper level and an attached sun deck. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 20 days in advance of this meeting, and 4 comments have been received to date. Comments were provided by Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief of Building Official, Matt Veach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Ryan Murrell, the Township's Fire Chief, and Chriselle Story, the Township's Land and Agreements Coordinator, all stating no objection. A letter of support was received from Peter Hill, abutting property owners to the north. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved with variances being granted. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much. And is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
Good morning, this is Alex Forshu. I'm here as the applicant.
Oh, sorry. Address and postal code, please.
I'm with Forshu Design Associates, 3 Lee Valley Drive, Unit 2, Port Carling, Ontario, P0B1J0.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks very much, staff and council members, for your time on this application. Thank you for recommending approval, and I'm here to answer any questions that may be here.
Okay, are there any questions? We'll ask, is there anyone else in support of this application? Anyone in opposition to this application? Other questions from the members? Excuse me. Moved by member Stokes, second by member Bridgman. Be it resolved that minor variance application A4825 GOODMAN to construct a 2-story garage with a sleeping cabin in the upper level and attached sun deck is hereby approved with the following variances being granted. 1, to permit a lot coverage 11% or 3,693 square feet over the entire lot. And 2, to permit an interior side yard setback to be 10 feet for a 2-story garage with a sleeping cabin in the upper level. These variances are granted as shown on the plan attached to the notice of decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried.
Thanks, staff and council, and Bryce, good luck in whatever you do in your future. Hopefully our paths will cross again.
Next application is A5025 BALABAN, and that is Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A5025 in the name of BALABAN. The subject lands are known municipally as 1026 Kingsett Road, and I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 132 of the agenda package. The applicants are proposing to demolish an existing boat port with a rooftop sun deck and construct a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck within the required side yards. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen, and this table was also included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Notice of this public meeting under the Planning Act was circulated 19 days in advance of this meeting, and 7 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Matt Beach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Ryan Morrell, the Township's Fire Chief, and Chriselle Story, the Township's Land and Agreements Coordinator, stating no objection. Letters of support were received from Lauren and Daniel Glazman, neighboring property owners to the south, and Sarah Gleefend. The letter of opposition was received from Regine Theinbolt, a neighboring property owner to the north. All comments were circulated to committee prior to today's meeting, and those received after circulation are available on the government portal. I prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended the application be approved subject to the recommended conditions that are detailed in the staff report. I have no other comments, but I'm happy to assist committee with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wish to speak on this?
Good morning. My name is Tracy Owen from the Drawing Board Architectural Design, 6 Duke Street, Port Carling, Ontario, P0B1J0, and I am the agent for Rebecca BALABAN, the owner of the property. Thank you very much, Caitlin, for that explanation. I think this is a fairly straightforward application. My understanding with the previous minor variance wording of boat port, that as we want to convert this to a boat house, it's a bit more of a technical approval. We are maintaining the same footprint over water as the current structure with a slight extension towards the shore. We are removing one of the shoreline structures to add to the boathouse, maintaining our 10% lot coverage. So it's a fairly, hopefully, straightforward application. I would like to address some of the concerns in Mr. Thibault's letter, if that's all right, just in case you did have some questions and concerns. The first item in the letter was loss of privacy. As the existing structures aren't actually changing use and location, it's still a rooftop sun deck. Other than we're enclosing the boathouse, which I actually think would give them a little bit more privacy from noise traveling through the boathouse, the boat port, it is maintaining the same privacy situation as it would be today. The distance between Mr. Thibault's dock and the BALABAN dock is about 90 feet. So a good distance away. They're not on top of each other like we have seen in some of the other properties in Muskoka. Mr. Thibault had alleged that this is a rental property. We do want to clarify this is not a rental property. It was previously rented in 2023 when the BALABANs purchased the property. It is no longer rental. The letter did state a website listing, which is no longer valid. It does lead to a website that says it's no longer a valid listing. So we do want to clarify this is not currently a rental property. The friend that it does occupy the cottage may have been interpreted by Mr. Thibault as a renter, but we do want to clarify that was a letter that was sent to council clarifying it's a family friend that does use the cottage as well. So we want to clarify that it is not a rental. Of course, should the owners decide to rent it, they would do so in compliance with the Muskoka Lakes bylaw for short-term rentals. Environmental impact, there is a washroom proposed in the boathouse. We do have the appropriate MNRF, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. We do have that permission in place, as well as the property has been reviewed by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and that has been established by the DFO that this proposed does not have any negative impact on fish and fish habitat. So we do have their approval as well. As far as the septic system, that was a comment. Of course, Muskoka Lakes Building Department does not issue building permits for boathouses with washrooms unless we do have an appropriate septic, which we do have in place to submit at the time with the boathouse permit. So the septic system will be upgraded to support the washroom in the boathouse. There was a concern in that letter about precedent setting. We would like to note that nothing is changing on this. It is in compliance for width. It does have the sun deck, which was in existence prior. So, you know, I don't know if I fully agree with the precedent setting concern. We would like to know that there was actually a minor variance on Mr. Thibault's property for shoreline for cumulative width of boathouse to be increased from 16%, which is the zoning bylaw, to 23%, which on their property would be about a 16-foot variance. That was 18 years ago, and I will let committee assess whether they would permit something like that in today's standard. But we are not looking for any variances as far as width. So we do hope, of course, that this will be a better aesthetic than the current boathouse, which is in need of repair. So we do hope that this application is acceptable to committee. We'll be happy to answer any questions. The owner, Rebecca BALABAN, is in attendance via Zoom as well, should committee have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent
And-
presentation.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in support of this application? Okay, see if they'd like to come in. Okay. Is there anyone in opposition to this application then? Okay, is there anything you'd like to say? Hello on Zoom. If you'd like to say something, we need your name, address, and postal code. Okay. Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we give everyone their opportunity, that's for sure. Are there questions from the members? Yes, Mr. Stokes.
Just one confirmatory question. The agent mentioned that the septic will be upgraded accordingly with the new washroom. That's per the building permit. Is that correct? That does not need to be
No.
dealt with in this hearing, but it will be done by per the permit. Thank you.
Yes. Member Bridget.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. If the committee will indulge me again, I just want a little bit clarification. I had gone back to try to find the actual decision on the variance for the boat port, because in the report it didn't say anything about a sun deck. So that led me to say it's not part of the grandfathering, because I don't see anything in here about a sun deck. So I had asked Ms. Walker, I just emailed her this morning and asked her if she could supply me with the 2009 or whatever it was. It's not linked to GeoHub. I hope that gets corrected. So here, and I see from what you've said, it reads that they've given permission for one to be built, is what it looked like to me from there. Correct?
So through you, I can give a little bit of a history.
Would you mind?
Yeah, I don't mind at all. So there was a previous minor variance on the property. It was A6519, and that variance approved the current boat port that's on the property. The variance at that time required, it had a rooftop sun deck, so it was a boat port with a rooftop sun deck as it exists today. It needed setback relief from the required setbacks from both lot lines, same setbacks that are being requested now. It also required relief from the minimum frontage of a property. At that time, the site plan that was available indicated there was 98 feet of straight line frontage on the property. Since that approval, a survey was done in 2023, which indicates they actually do have 100 feet of straight line frontage on the property, which is why that variance is no longer required. Same goes for the width. The width required a variance previously because it was based on 98 feet of frontage, and they were proposing a 16-foot boat port. The boat port or the boathouse being proposed now will also be 16 feet in width, but because they do have a straight line frontage of 100 feet, it is compliant with the zoning bylaw. So the current boathouse will be a single story. It will have a rooftop sun deck. It does require relief from the side yard setback requirements as the previous boat port did. It is extending further back towards the shore, so it is slightly larger than what exists today. But all the other setbacks are remaining the same. And to offset that additional boat port or boathouse area, they are removing a sleeping cabin that exists in the front yard. as part of this application, and that's been recommended as a condition of approval for the application. I hope that provides some clarity.
Now I have another curious question, because I don't have any issue with this, but so when you're going from a boat port to a boathouse, all you're really looking at in this application is the impact of those walls, I would gather. So that doesn't change the grandfathering effect at all, right? I'm just curious now, because a boat port is different than a boathouse.
Through you, there's no grandfathering at play in this application because the past approval was for a boat port specifically. None of those provisions carry forward now that we're constructing a boathouse. So we're not really grandfathering anything, which is why they have to get approvals for the side yard setback that they're applying for now. So we're not grandfathering it. It's technically a new application, but they could replace what they have as a boat port one for one. I hope that maybe that confused things even more.
Mr. Sharp, you probably remember this was 2019 because it's coming back to me.
Thank you, Chair Edwards, and thank you, Ms. Walker, for your explanations. They've been very good. I think just to put it in a bit of a different context, forget the past minor variance. If this boat port existed and was legal non-complying, the zoning bylaw doesn't really draw a distinction between a boat port and a boat house, other than to say that the walls, there's walls on one and there aren't on another, but the zoning provisions are the same. It doesn't make a distinction. What's different in this case is that there was a minor variance that recognized that boathouse, or boat port, I should say. And because it was permitted as a boat port, that's all it's permitted to be. So they want to turn it into a boathouse and extend it slightly. And as Ms. Walker had said, to compensate for that within the lot coverage, they're looking to remove the sleeping cabin in the front yard, which is somewhat of an improvement. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Chair Edwards, thank you.
Yeah.
But my impression from reading the report was that we were talking about something being grandfathered, to be honest with you. So now I'm learning that we're not talking about something to be grandfathered. So
Well,
that was the clarification I wanted from the whole thing.
Ms. Walker?
Through you, and I appreciate that. I think the analysis in the report considered that what they have today could be replaced one for one. So staff did look at what the difference would be between what exists and what's being proposed. I think it's just a matter of terms. It's not technically a grandfathered, there's no grandfathering provisions being applied in this case, but they would be, I guess, grandfathered in the sense they could replace what they have one for one. And staff, to your point, did analyze if the addition of walls and that extra section off the back would have a large impact on privacy, visual impact, etc. And we determined that we felt this was appropriate in this case.
So will you indulge me one more comment?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. So I get that. And they have the sun deck and they're keeping it. But I will tell you, if this came to us without that before, I would have a hard time on a 100-foot lot allowing a sun deck to be constructed on this property. But I understand where you're coming from.
Yes, Ms. Walker.
I just want to add one point of clarification that a rooftop sun deck doesn't have a minimum frontage requirement. So you are permitted to have a rooftop sun deck on a property with 100 feet of straight line frontage, provided you can meet the 45-foot. So it would be very narrow, and I do appreciate that. So, yeah.
Yes.
I have one question related to the sun shelter that's on top of the deck. Is that allowed? Sometimes it's not in different applications.
Yes, Ms. Walker.
That would not be permitted going forward.
Okay, so that has to be removed. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Moved by Member Stokes, second by Member Grogan Green. Be it resolved that minor variance application A5025 BALABAN to construct a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck is hereby approved, with the following variance being granted. 1, to permit a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck to be constructed 30 feet from the northerly side lot line projection and 41.9 feet from the southerly side lot line projection. Excuse me. This variance is granted as shown on the plan attached to the notice of decision and is subject to the following conditions. 1, that the sleeping cabin, bunkie, be removed as intended, and 2, that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title, along with securities for the retention of existing vegetation and for planting in the footprint of the sleeping cabin, bunkie, and the implementation of mitigation measures outlined by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. This approval shall remain in effect from 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you very much. Good luck, Bryce.
And at this time, we'll take a comfort break and we'll come back at 25 after. I'd like to call the Community Adjustment meeting back to order. And the next application is A 5125 McNeil, and that is, the planner is Mr. Tija.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A 5125 in the name of McNeil. The subject lands are known municipally as 1010 King Street. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 149 of the agenda package. The applicant proposes to construct a two-story garage with a storage space in the upper level. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 17 days in advance of this meeting, and 2 comments have been received to date. Comments were provided by Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Matt Veach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, and Ryan Morrell, the Township's Fire Chief, all stating no objection. I apologize, 3 comments have been received to date. The proposed variance is summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved with variances being granted. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wish to speak on this? Anyone else in support of this application? Anyone in opposition to this application? No, there are questions from the members. Yes.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. I agree. I think that the height of these garages is going to be lifted to 25 feet in the new bylaws because it's allowed in the waterfront areas. So I don't have any issue with this.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Moved by Member Bridgman, second by Member Grogan Green, and be it resolved that minor variance application A 5125 McNeil to construct a 2-story garage with storage space in the upper level is hereby approved, with the following variance being granted. 1, to permit a maximum height of 27 feet for an accessory 2-story garage. This variance is granted as shown on the plan attached to the notice of decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried. And the next application is A 5525 Valentine, and that is Ms. Crowder.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A 5525 in the name of Ballantyne. The subject lands are known municipally as 1391 Rosso Lake Road 1, unit number 29. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 167 of the agenda package. The applicants propose to construct a new dock which exceeds the maximum permitted cumulative dock width. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 20 days in advance of this meeting, and 4 comments have been received to date. Comments were provided by Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Matt Veach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Ryan Morrell, the Township's Fire Chief, and Chriselle Story, the Township's Land and Agreements Coordinator, all stating no objection to the application. The proposed variance is summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved subject to the following condition: that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title, along with securities if necessary, to implement the recommendations within the fish habitat assessment prepared by Riverstone Environmental Solutions Incorporated, dated October 10th, 2023. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
We're here, but we don't need to speak unless you have a
Okay,
question.
there's somebody online. Bring them on, please.
Good morning, committee. Lenny Dennis Planning, Box 254, Nova, Ontario, P0A1R0. The Conan Group asked me to assist with the application on the planning part of it. Had a chance to review the staff report and listen to the presentation of staff. It's a fair and accurate assessment of the proposal, and concur with them to approve the application. I think we have no issues with respect to the conditions. I think it's fairly straightforward application. Just sort of the merits of the request. Briefly, it's sort of like a reapplication of an application that was previously approved, except the dock is in a different location. Actually, the new location of the dock is further away from the Type 1 fish habitat. It's more central to the lot, sort of minimizing, if you will, the impact from the neighbors, the closest neighbors. The length of the dock is 33 feet versus what could be at 66 feet. So it's sort of tucked in closer to the shoreline, and again, minimizing built form and the impact from the abutting property. There's a reasonable separation distance between this where the dock is proposed and the neighbor's property. The property is sort of unique in a way. It's got a bit of a point. It's got two sort of shorelines, if you will, and so it sort of functions as two separate entities. I think it's a reasonable sized dock. I haven't heard of any objection through the planning process, and would respectfully request committee approve the application as it meets the four tests of a minor variance, and there's no unacceptable adverse impacts. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. Is there anyone else here in support? Anyone in opposition? No? Questions from the members? No? Moved by member Bridgman, second by member Stokes. Be it resolved that minor variance application A 5525 Ballantine to construct a new swim dock is hereby approved, with the following variance being granted to permit a cumulative dock width of 65 feet. This variance is granted shown on the plan attached to the notice of decision and is subject to the following condition. 1, that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title, along with securities if necessary, to implement the recommendations with the fish habitat assessment prepared by Riverstone Environmental Solutions dated October 10th, 2023. This approval shall remain in effect from 3 years from the date of decision. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried.
Thank you very much for your time. Bye.
Okay. And there's no correspondence, and that as everything was received. There's no business, no information or new business. So before I read this, I will just say thank you, Mr. Sharp, for getting the staff that they're so quick on these applications that we finished early. Moved by member Bogan Greenbeck, second by member Bridgman. Be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment adjourned at 10:34 a.m. and the next regular Committee of Adjustment meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 9 a.m. All those in favor? That's carried.